Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Avialence. I am here. I am all dressed up. I got my jacket out, my one and only jacket, and my tie, and my fancy shirt. But it is time for something big. Game of the Years, or Games of the Year for 2012. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure you can see around me right now, there is tons of games. But I went ahead, this year was a great year, and I basically picked the top 5 gaming experiences that I enjoyed, and hopefully that we enjoyed, because I did videos for all of these, as you can see around you. Woo, videos! And I went ahead, broke them down. Really, this list can be arranged in any way, but these are the top 5 games of the year that I thoroughly enjoyed, and we're going to go through why I enjoyed each of them. Now, I ask you to please remember, this is my personal opinion for Game of the Year. This is by no means professional journalistic work that is not biased in any way. So, I ask you to agree to disagree with me. If you don't like any of my choices, feel free to leave yours in the comments below, but try to keep it semi-civilized. Anyway, let's go ahead and begin with number 5 for this year. So, for number 5 this year, we're going to look around, and up there, Guild Wars 2 took my number 5 slot for this year. Guild Wars 2 is basically the last game I expected to be interested in this year, mainly because I have been getting sick of MMOs ever since I quit World of Warcraft about a year ago, and everything else seems to be going free-to-play, and I actually don't enjoy a free-to-play model. But Guild Wars 2 presently surprised me this year when I entered the beta back in late May due to journalism work. As you guys know, I did some character customization videos and stuff. But it's absolutely stunning as a game. And there's, you know, it redefines MMOs, of course. So you have free-to-play, but it's not pay-to-win, right? That's a big thing. You also have a beautiful, beautiful looking game. Guild Wars 2 is arguably one of the best looking games I played this year. If not the best looking game I played this year. It revolutionized the questing system as to you don't have quest givers, but you can talk to them if you want the lore. It gives tons of races, tons of character customization, and there's also plenty of cool things that you would see in other MMOs that have changed in Guild Wars. For example, the idea of the leveling. You also have smaller skill sets, kind of like you're playing Diablo, but it's an MMO, so I don't have 50 million abilities around my screen like I did in World of Warcraft. It was pleasantly surprising and casual, but still very hardcore in a way, because you had to learn how to use these skills, tailor them, use area of effect, change different weapons to be able to have different abilities, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But while all these aspects are like entertaining and refreshing in an MMO world, especially for me, being a veteran of World of Warcraft, I have one specific reason, just one, that Guild Wars 2 is on my list. The reason is entertainment without dedication. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm a fairly busy person. You guys know this. I know this. I work multiple jobs, plus I'm a full-time college student. And as we all know, that's a lot of stuff to do. And we all have stuff like that. We all have jobs. We all have time. And MMOs take a lot of time. The reason I quit World of Warcraft in the first place was actually for the sole purpose of, hey, I don't have time to be able to work with this stuff, and I don't have time to dedicate it to constantly farm gear, constantly raid, be on every raid night. I don't have time for that. My schedule doesn't allow it. And Guild Wars basically lets me do that with the whole idea of their leveling system. So yes, there's levels 1 through 80. Yes, there's different dungeons and stuff you can do in 1 through 80. But all the stuff that matters in Guild Wars 2, the events, right? Basically, it's just the events, the huge events, the festivities. We got to see Halloween and winter. Winter's Day is what it was called this year. All of those, they actually level you up so you're the same level as max level characters. So even though I don't have a lot of time with Guild Wars, because I only have a couple level 35s or so, I still am able to play with my level 80 friends that have had plenty of time to spend in Guild Wars, and it doesn't ruin the experience. This is something that I really enjoy, and something that, you know, it was an idea that kind of kept me up with the game despite not having the time to keep up with the game. And ArenaNet gets my kudos for that system. I mean, it's a phenomenal system. It's very well put together. And Guild Wars 2 is definitely a beautiful MMO with plenty more to offer than you think. And is easily one of the best experiences I had this year. So those are the reasons why Guild Wars 2 is on my list. Loved Guild Wars 2 this year. I will continue playing it with my new PC rig when that comes here in the future. I'm really excited to see what we have going on with that. So Guild Wars 2 is my number 5 spot. Now, moving up to number 4, Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 is easily one of my most anticipated games of 2012. I loved seeing the photos back in February. I was freaking out because I was like, Assassin's Creed. Plus, it's in one of my favorite historical time periods. Now, I am a journalism major. You guys know that, electronic media. But I do love history, and the American Revolution is easily one of my favorite pieces of history. So seeing Assassin's Creed set in the American Revolution was just mind-blowing to me. I loved it. So I was really excited to see where that was going to go. Now, Assassin's Creed 3, though, I mean, it didn't bring anything new to the table. Sure, they improved all the basic systems and stuff, the parkour, the combat, everything like that, but it didn't bring anything new to the table. But what they did improve and iron out so well was the character development. Connor was amazing. The fact that you play as his father in the beginning, the fact that you go through and learn how Connor becomes Connor, you understand his motives, you understand his character, you understand why he's doing what he's doing. And I love him as a character because there's constantly an internal involvement with that. You're sitting there and you're like, alright, well, what does Connor want to do? How does he want to do it? You can tell, you know, he wants freedom, but he doesn't know how to get it. And he's not very, you know, wise, but he becomes that way. And to see Connor develop as a character, not only through the main storyline, but also through some of the amazing sandbox elements they put in the game, is just amazing. So I love the way Ubisoft handled this, and I'm so mad that so many gamers hated it. I absolutely love that it took me about 5 hours to get to playing as Connor, because then I felt that much more attached to Connor, and that was a big, big, big thing for me. Now, another thing, too, is, I mean, not only did it give me a reason to play Connor, but Assassin's Creed 3 was so polished. I mean, they had ironed out everything. There were a couple glitches, sure. The dual pistol one was annoying, where you'd get a double barrel pistol, but you can only equip it in one pistol slot, and the other pistol slot would always swap over, and it was so frustrating. But, you know, we got past that. These are things that are easily overlooked, and some that they fixed, if I'm not mistaken. But the other thing that I liked about Assassin's Creed 3 is the sandbox elements. So before, yeah, you could collect flags. Yeah, you could go out and talk to a few people and do a few side quests. But it wasn't anything substantial. And what Assassin's Creed 3 did is they added stuff like naval combat. Pirates of the Caribbean, take notes, seriously. That is some of the best naval combat I've ever played, alright? They added the homestead, which I loved because I got to meet all these people and it made sense, like with the revolution going on, where they were, what the predicament was, and I was able to help them as someone who was a victim myself, playing as Connor, right? I love the homestead implications, and I really, really loved the sandbox hunting. The hunting was easily my favorite part of Assassin's Creed 3 because you're able to explore and go out into the frontier. I mean, it was a huge, huge world. And each of these pieces was so ironed out. I mean, it didn't detract from the main story either. These sandbox elements didn't pull away from the main story, but they just added to it without ruining Connor's experience. So, Assassin's Creed 3, while it did have its flaws, was easily one of the best games I've played this year. It's definitely worth trying out. It's a big step in the right direction for the series, and a title that rightfully deserves its spot on my list as number 4. So, Assassin's Creed 3, number 4 on this Game of the Year list for 2012. Now, number 3. This was very difficult, but I did it anyway because Mass Effect 3 rightfully deserves the 3rd spot on my list. Mass Effect has been, and always will be, my favorite video game series to date, up there with The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. This year, Mass Effect 3 was a phenomenal conclusion to that same story that I started so many years ago. And despite all of the setbacks, surprises, and delays, you know, it was delayed consistently, pushed back to March. We saw during the game's earlier days, you know, it came out beautifully. What I enjoyed about Mass Effect wasn't really the simple choices that you had, right? Like, oh, help this guy, oh, be Paragon here, oh, be Renegade here. But rather how they were kind of outlaid into a bigger picture. And I think this is what a lot of gamers hated about Mass Effect 3, but I enjoyed it because I saw it build up. So in the first one, you know, you're making some decisions. You take care of Sarah and you move on. Second one, yeah, it's a little more consequential. But in the third one, all of those decisions kind of add up into this big, big clash, and you have so many big clashes that determine the fates of entire races of people, determine the entire existence of planets. And there are these things and decisions that are built up so much in the narrative, but the issue is, a lot of people want them to be chopped up, and that's not how a good game is made. And that's why, I mean, the end of Mass Effect, I will say it, I loved it. I know I'm going to get flamed for that, and I'm okay with it. I loved the ending of Mass Effect. It was not the best ending in the world, but then again, it was the ending of my favorite series, so it has something to do with that. But it left me wondering, and I think that's what every good game ending should. And at the end of a trilogy, I think it handled it very, very well. Now, all these choices, why a lot of people say is, like, in the end, the choices didn't matter. And I would disagree, because the end is the entire game. And with the end being the entire game, that's what I enjoyed so much. There's so much there that I am deciding as Shepard. And so much I'm deciding as I'm going through the entire game. And I think a lot of people were so used to the structure of 2 and 1 that they didn't understand that. But not only was Mass Effect story phenomenal, I mean, I shed man tears during it. I'm not even kidding. So many man tears were shed with Thane and everything. It was terrible. But Mass Effect it's not just a game. It's like an entertainment experience. It's a perfect presentation of how a trilogy should be done, not only in games, but in movies or in books. I mean, it's so well thrown together. So well thrown together. Don't forget, too, we also had the improved combat system. So, a lot of people were griping that there wasn't enough RPG elements in the second game. Well, I think what they did is they balanced out the RPG elements from the first game and the combat of the second game and improved upon both. Mass Effect 3's combat was smooth and slick. It was easy to get into, easy to have fun with, and so much, it's so smooth. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It felt like a shooter, which it hadn't before. So it was an RPG shooter that they had really advanced and taken to the next level. And on that note, too, character customization was great. I mean, it was enough to keep me entertained, but it wasn't enough to overwhelm me, and I think that's exactly what they were going for. You also had tons and tons of amazing multiplayer. I was so worried about the multiplayer when they first announced it, guys, and it came out great. I still play it, and I love Mass Effect multiplayer. It is an amazing co-op experience that, you know, lets you play as some of your favorite characters, classes, use some awesome weapons. I mean, it was a really, really awesome experience. And Mass Effect 3 is easily one of the best experiences I've ever had in the gaming world. Mass Effect, kudos. I mean, you guys have made an amazing trilogy, and I can't wait to see where you guys go next, but please don't ruin it. You have a chance to keep it going. Don't ruin it. Don't do this to me, because you guys have something that is very rare in the gaming industry. But Mass Effect 3 easily deserves number 3 spot on my list, and it is there for a reason. Now, I'm going to get flamed like crazy for my number 2 choice, but you know what? I don't care, alright? My number 2 choice for Game of the Year 2012 is not even a game. It's a mod for a game. Now, those of you who have read my article, I'm sure you already know about this, but before you throw your arms up in outrage, just like many zombies do glitching through walls in this game, let me tell you, DayZ is not a game. Sure. It is arguably, however, it's arguably one of the most innovative and iconic ideas I have ever seen in the gaming industry, alright? And that's why it rightfully deserves the second spot on my list. Originally, I started watching, like, you know, live streams of the game, some YouTube videos, like, oh, this seems pretty cool, and I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot. So I gave it a shot in late June, or the beginning of June, rather, and I picked up Arma 2 Combined Operations, which is the game that the mod runs off of. That includes Operation Arrowhead and Arma 2, so it's a game in the expansion. And right after the beginning, I mean, 2 nights in, I hated it. I hated DayZ. But I kept coming back every day because I was trying to see if I could survive just a little bit longer. And that's where this game's so successful. It's a hardcore game. It is hard. It is not easy to get the hang of. And despite all of its glitches and stuff, I mean, it is one of the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had. Ever. I mean, it's great. And why is that such a big thing? Because the hardcore aspects are what make it so great. The idea was, could I always survive a little bit longer? That was the big thing with DayZ. And I kept coming back, trying to survive a little bit longer. And constantly, you know, players have to keep their eyes on things like the hunger meter and thirst meter to make sure they don't starve or dehydrate themselves to death, right? And while you're doing this, you're also making sure you don't run or sprint too long. Like, yeah, I can sprint from point A to point B on the map, right? But if I sprint from A to B and I get to B and there's a ton of zombies, my gun's gonna be shaking because my guy's so out of breath. And like, there's all these aspects that play in and really make players make decisions based on what they're gonna do. They had to make sure that if they were attacked, they weren't shot or bit by zombies. Otherwise, they would start bleeding out, and you can run out of blood and die. And otherwise, it was amazing. You would black out. You'd get pale. You'd get black and white. You couldn't see what was going on. You'd lose color, right? Because your body was shutting down. and you would need medical supplies to heal those wounds. You also have weather that consistently changed, forcing players to stay indoors or use fires or heat packs, which are found in the game, in order to keep themselves from getting sick. And then if they're getting sick, they'll start coughing and they can infect other players. I mean, all these things, for this to be in a mod, guys, this is such a big deal, and it's so awesome to see that it was so successful. It was amazing. And my personal favorite is always when, you know, a veteran player snipes one of the new players, and then, you know, oh no, the veteran player fell and broke their leg, so now they need a new player to run medical supplies to the top of the map because they're not even near a hospital. They're out in the middle of the wilderness. And it was just awesome. DayZ, I mean, the glorious thing, right? The glorious thing about DayZ is the idea that every experience is crafted by you, the players, and that's what I loved. DayZ gives you the tools, right? The food to scavenge, the water to scavenge, the guns to find, the ammo to loot, the map to explore, the helicopters, the cars, everything to repair and fix and make sure everything was done, right? But every experience I had in DayZ, I made as a player. I made with other players, and that's something that's such a big deal. I mean, every day I was playing DayZ, I was dying consistently, learning from my mistakes, and working to improve my strategy, right? My working, like, kind of pamphlet as to how I played the game, the next time I lived. And it's really a hardcore game, and I call it a game because I think it deserves it. It is one of the best ideas I've ever seen in the gaming industry. But it is officially a mod, and, you know, whether you want to call it a game or a mod, I wanted, you know, I wanted to give it something because it arguably deserves it. DayZ is one of the best experiences, and for 30 bucks, I even think, like, Combined Operations is on sale for like $17. You need to have this experience, just like I did. I was so skeptical, I had the experience, and now I'm telling everyone to go have that experience. So please, go check out DayZ. It's just a hardcore game and mod that I wanted as a gamer. It's the mod I didn't know I wanted. And despite all the glitches, it does have glitches, and it's hard to set up. It's easily one of the most memorable experiences I have ever had. And I'm eager to see how it evolves into its own title. It's going to go standalone in 2013. So DayZ, number 2 spot. Flame me like crazy in the comments. I don't care. It deserves it. Alright, so 2012 was a fantastic year for gamers. Plenty of titles released near the end of the current console generation, we hope. Now, each of these titles brought back characters we love, aspects we love, combat, you know, all these titles that we really, really enjoy. But in the end of it all, there was only one game that I can honestly call my game of the year, and I do not hesitate at all. That game is Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 wins Game of the Year this year from Avialence Media, me, aka me, because it is the most surprising game I laid hands on this year. While I've played Far Cry games before, they didn't really stand out as games I would remember for years, like Morrowind or Zelda, or Fallout, for example. But they were solid and unique experiences, but they never felt complete, so to speak, right? So what I had is, you know, when I got Far Cry 3, I was like, oh, cool, this will be exciting. I had loved Voss from the get-go, but within a few minutes of immersing myself in Far Cry 3, I was blown away. Jason Brody is one of the most unique characters I have ever had the luxury of playing as in a video game. And Ubisoft did a fantastic job at making me be Jason. Me, am Jason. Jason is not a character I'm playing as. They make you, the player, be Jason. And that is so unique. It's like being Commander Shepard, you know, those things sit there, and those things sit on you because you are the main character. And you just don't, with Jason Brody, you don't see him as a character. And that's really the aspect of what makes Far Cry 3 so great. Nearly every moment you spend in the game, and I mean every moment, that means every combat scenario, every cutscene, every dialogue, every crazy, insane drug trip you go on during this game, you are Jason. You are Jason. That is who you are. And that's what makes it so awesome. So everything is seen through the eyes of Jason, ergo you. You are the person that is playing this character. You are the character. And that's something I haven't seen in a game for a very, very long time. And Far Cry 3 takes that beyond what we currently know. So Far Cry 3 did a huge, awesome job of that. But what this does really is not only create an immersive experience for you, as I've been discussing, but it also allows the player to truly become the lead character in this tropical open world of Rook Island, which is beautiful. Far Cry 3 is beautiful. I think that's something I don't have to say. It is a great, great looking game. But Far Cry 3 basically surrounds the player with even more interesting characters. And so Jason Brody is not the only interesting character, the one you're playing as. You'll meet people like the pirate leader Voss, who's voiced by Michael Mando. And he's fantastic. I would compare his voice acting of Voss to actually be, Heath Ledger playing the Joker. He's insanely messed up. His role is so believable. And that's something I loved so much with Far Cry 3. And there's various friends of Jason, all of whom have distinct personalities, and you thoroughly enjoy every conversation, every flashback, every moment you have with these individuals. Each moment you have with these characters really doesn't only impact, you as a player, but it shows you how far storytelling can really go in a video game-based world. And I think that's where Far Cry 3 succeeds. Now, while the basic aspects of the first-person shooter, the shooting, the cover, the mechanics, the guns, the customization, even the skills and stuff, like the RPG, the skill trees, it's nothing revolutionary. It's nothing that's gonna blow your mind or anything like that. It really, really isn't. But they're all built into the main storyline very well. It's a polished, it is a beautiful game. I know Far Cry 3 got some delays and they were kinking out some of these experiences, and that's why it came out so good. Far Cry 3 is easily the best $60 I've spent this year. It's a very enjoyable experience. It's something everyone should go to, and I'm so sad that it came out so late in the year because it got surpassed by many other games for all these Game of the Year awards, right? And I'm happy that I can put it on my list because Far Cry 3 is an amazing, amazing game. If you haven't played it, don't judge it until you've played it. It'll blow you away. That's a promise. Alright, guys. So, I realize, that you may not agree with all the titles on this list, right? Either of the 5 that are all around me. But please realize that this is my list. This is my Game of the Year list. I have worked weeks on these projects, and I wanted to put them out and kind of try to give you guys some of the awesome content for Game of the Year. So, it's my top 5 games of 2012. I have my reasons. You just listen to them. Feel free to share yours below in the comments, though. That's the big thing here. We can agree to disagree. I'm interested to hear what you guys thought was the best game of the year this year. I went ahead. I enjoyed lots of games that I had a difficult time not putting on my list. Dishonored, for example. Fez. Fez was an arcade title I did not expect I would enjoy, but it was amazing. So there's so many games that I did want to put on here, but I couldn't. And these are the top 5 that I have. So please agree to disagree with me. Tell me what your top 5 were in the comments below. And I look forward to hearing from you folks, as well to another exciting year of gaming in 2013. My name is Avialence. I'm wearing a tie. And this is Avialence Media here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this video. Please like this video as well as share it. It is Game of the Year. So I'd love to see some more opinions and bring some more people in to get their idea of Game of the Year for 2012. Have a good one, folks. I'm excited to see where we go in 2013, and I'll be talking to you then. As always, I'm Avialence. Live by the creed. There's no Far Cry catchphrase. There's no DayZ catchphrase. Don't get eaten by zombies. There's no. We'll just go with Live by the Creed, because that's awesome. Assassin's Creed, that's always a great tie-out. So, do that. See you guys. I'll see you in 2013. Have a good one.